morning and welcome to Northeast Current. I'm John Baldino. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Well, today we're going to be talking a little bit about the arts and what's going on in our backyard in the artistic community. There's an exciting joint venture going on. A few weeks ago we talked to Dr. Michael Luzzi, the executive director of the Everhart Museum, and he teased a little bit about an exciting project that was going on with Actors Circle. Well, today we have an actor and a director from Actors Circle here to talk a little bit more about Vincent, a one-man show that's going on this weekend at the Everhart Museum at Naog Park in downtown Scranton. John Schugard stars in the show and co-directs with Alex DeVirgilis. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vincent, it is a one-man show, I understand, by Leonard Nimoy of Star Trek fame, among other famous ventures that he's made. Tell me a little bit about the program, or about the show itself, rather.
The show is the life of Van Gogh, as told after his death by his brother.
So you play his brother?
Right.
Okay.
So I primarily play his brother. And of course, the narrative is also helped by the reading of letters that Vincent wrote to his brother, and at times I will act scenes out as Van Gogh, but primarily I'm his brother telling the story of his life, right up to the end.
Fascinating. Now, it's a one-man show, so for, what, 2 hours?
We believe it's an hour and a half.
For an hour and a half, you are on stage and it is just you.
Just me.
What kind of challenge does that present for an actor?
That's really frightening. Of course, the biggest challenge is that the first thing I think we learn as actors is how to interact with the person next to us and react to what they're doing and give them something to react to. And now the most motion I have on stage to react to is if I push the rocking chair. And it rocks back and forth, or I react to the candle. In a sense, what we've done is we've created other people without them being there. At times, Theo speaks to Vincent as though he's there, so we pick an object. We use an easel, we use a candle, we use a chair. We have a series of slides to augment the production with some of Van Gogh's work and some of his drawings and people from his life. And a lot of that creates the other person that isn't actually there. And of course, the other part is, as a one-man show, and I think this is true of every one-man show, most of the time you're talking to the audience anyway. So that I can basically come out and look the audience in the eye and break the infamous fourth wall, which is something I like to do anyway. So, so it's not as daunting as it initially seems. You know, the line load's daunting, of course, because
I can imagine.
even in a two-person show, you only need to know half the lines.
Well, you are, having worked with you on the stage before, you are famous for knowing all of your lines after the first rehearsal. Did he know all his lines after the first rehearsal?
He knew his lines before the first rehearsal.
Did not.
I was really quite amazed. His capacity for learning lines was tremendous. And another thing that's really, really serving to his credit is just having a lot of energy. I mean, we've all been tremendously entertained by, take Robin Williams, for example, doing one-man stand-up. He can exhaust you just watching him.
Yes.
And John has that similar kind of energy. I mean, he can really move, and he could fill a large space if he wanted to with just presence and volume. Another thing that I suppose helps a lot is we use as many theatrical tools as we possibly could to fill it in. And I could say when it's over, you're gonna forget that it was only one person. And something else that really fills it, or makes it just a great experience overall, is I'm not exactly sure how many, probably 40 slides of Van Goghs that you're going to see that are kind of integrated into the show. So it makes it very educational, very much a feast for the eyes. I mean, boy, some of his work, I wish I could keep the slides that we're using. So there's plenty to fill it up. Billing it as a one-man show is really not really placing it in the best label possible, because it doesn't really come across as necessarily that. It comes across as so much, really.
Now, John mentioned that one of the challenges of doing this is that when you're an actor, when you're on stage, you're reacting to other people, you're working with other people. When you're a director, and you're stepping back, you are looking at many people, and you're moving them around, and you're working with them. What kind of challenge does it present now to have one person to work with? Is it more of a challenge, or does it make your job easier?
In this case, I'm going to go ahead and blush right now. In this case, when you've got a cast who is, in your feelings, 100% excellent, of a high caliber.
So there's not a weak link in the whole cast.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, and that probably makes it easier as a director.
I know, he was yelling at the rocking chair yesterday.
And he is blushing.
There is more of a focus, though, upon bringing everything you can out of that actor, and bringing out that actor's other faces, sometimes faces that he doesn't even know he has. You know, that's the new challenge that comes out of a one-person show, is how many people can I make him seem like? And it's a lot of fun, I have to say.
It's similar to, I guess, when you did The Mystery of Irma Vep and played how many different characters?
And played 4 or 5 characters. At least there was someone else with me.
That's true. So the many faces of John Schugard come out in this production. What faces did you discover that you had that you didn't know you had?
Oh, I don't know. I never give it that much thought. You know, I'm looking more at what emotion I'm projecting than what it looks like to the audience. But I found like 4 or 5 new ways to frown and 3 or 4 new ways to smile. That's a tough question, really.
I'm famous for those tough questions.
Well, that's good.
I think Alex is ready to jump in.
I might be able to help there, yeah.
All right.
We have him play a critic whom was somewhat hostile to Van Gogh, whom Vincent van Gogh's brother Theo detested. And Theo takes up and imitates this gentleman as he's reading his script. And I'd say we get a parrot like John out of that. There's another point where we were pushing for a menace, and it took us a while to get it, but when we got it, it was enough to make the hair stand on your back. The character Theo gets upset with his brother being remembered by so much as the crazy man who cut off his ear. And he loses a bit of control and addresses the audience on that. I won't get into any more detail on exactly the position he takes, but he was angry. He was angry. And the audience is actually, you could consider them part of the show, because we're setting this in his living room, and the audience has been invited in for him to speak to them. So he does address them in a very real way.
So they are acknowledged, they are there.
Yes. Yes.
Which isn't something that we see terribly often.
No, it's not. And it really is fun when you get to do it. And it's fun on the other side, too, being an audience member. When you feel like you've got something to say in the show, or at least we're somehow part of it, it's a thrill.
Well, sure. How many times as an audience member do you really not get acknowledged at all? Until the end, when you're supposed to clap and so on. So it's a nice feeling as an actor to go out and look people in the eye, as best as I can see them with the lights in my eyes.
Right. But it is something that we rarely get the opportunity to do as actors. Now, why Vincent?
Ooh, okay. There were...
Who made the decision to do this particular show?
I was the one who proposed it.
Okay.
Originally, the project was supposed to be a production of art. And unfortunately, Dramatic Publishing informed us that the rights for that play are not being released in this area until next year. There's a touring company coming through. They don't want anyone to do it first. So there were a few weeks of kicking around saying, okay, are we going to do something at the Everhart? We'd really like to, but what is there? And literally, I was sitting in front of my computer one night just tooling around the internet looking at Sam French and Dramatic Publishing and Dramatist Play Service. And I came across, out of nowhere, on Dramatic Publishing site, they have an author's corner, and I caught the name Leonard Nimoy and said, oh, gee, he wrote a play. I had no idea. And when I read the column about the play and what the play was, I heard the little bell ring, and I said, this is the show. It fits in the space. It's appropriate for the museum. We could get it ready on time. I think it's interesting to point out, maybe getting ahead of you a little bit, Leonard Nimoy wrote this play for his lecture tour because he was tired of talking about Star Trek.
I could imagine he would be after 35 years.
Why would that be? So instead of just going and talking about being Spock and directing a movie and so on, he wrote this play and just started going around performing Vincent.
to really, not necessarily detach himself, but take a departure from that typecasting.
Just for something else.
Right.
I can certainly understand that.
So here was the show, you found it, you turned around, proposed it to Actors Circle. What was the reaction? Obviously a positive one.
I had seen the show of Nimoy and really, really liked it. Why I didn't make that connection, I don't know. But I knew immediately when the idea was brought up that Everhart would love to see that. And I bubbled over with enthusiasm, and the rest of the board really had no trouble seeing that there seemed to be a really good idea there.
Now, the Everhart Museum is no stranger to theater. It's had a few shows in their galleries. I was involved in one several years ago. Actors Circle is obviously no stranger to theater, having been around forever. What brought the two together? Where did the marriage of the museum and the theater come from?
Boy, I think just that just kind of was some kicking around between Dr. Aluzzi and some members on our board. And it was kind of one of these situations where someone says, oh, wouldn't it be nice someday if we went ahead and had a play here? Yes, yes. And happily, some of our board members pursued that. And one good idea led to another, and then they set a date.
It's so often that we hear, wouldn't it be nice if someday we did this or someday we did that? It's fantastic that a group of people from Actors Circle said, yeah, but here, this is the someday, and let's do it. Has it been a painstaking process of preparation to get this show up and running?
Isn't it always? It always
you
is.
giggle over there on the side.
It always is.
Well, I suppose it is.
Nah, this one was easy.
Well, what's it been like for the two of, this is your first experience working together, am I
Yes.
correct? What's it been like to work together for the first time?
We have a good rhythm. One of those, we kind of got into a groove and we stayed there. It was no real growing pains, which was nice. It's just, I don't know how else to put it. You know, we just got together and started kicking ideas around, and we found a lot of things that worked. We were on the same page 9 times out of 10.
That helps.
No, it's a big help.
Makes a big difference. Has it felt that smooth and that?
Oh, it's
That
been really a pleasure. Again, I'm in the happy position of being pleased with 100% of my cast. It's just
Which is a rarity in the theater.
well, yes. I mean, you've got to in community theater. You always want to be bringing in new faces, and you always want to give people a chance. And we try to advertise that as an open door policy. Anyone who wants to try their hand at something, by all means, come in. But it's tough to be giving elementary direction to somebody while you've gone so much farther with some other cast members. So I'm sitting here with a handful of aces and loving every minute of it.
What has been your biggest challenge?
The technical side of it has really been the toughest part of it. Dramatically, we got to where we wanted to get very, very early on, actually, since this guy was off book before he even came in for his first rehearsal. We were working on fine points within the second week. But the real tough part came in when the slides for the Van Gogh shots, which are beautiful. They're beautiful. Words can't do them any justice. But to integrate them intelligently into the show without letting them dominate him or him dominate them, and to put them in moments where they make sense and where you really gather. I mean, this is where it really comes in well, is that many of the slides come in when the exact context of Van Gogh's life is being described. So you are seeing exactly how these paintings came about from this man's heart and the moment in his life that contributed to the inspiration of making them. And you will leave with many such experiences watching this play. It's really, really great. And despite all this educational value it has, it's so entertaining too.
Really? Did you have to do a great deal of research, or had Nimoy really done enough that everything is right there on the screen?
He did it all for you, really, and yet it's a marvelous piece of entertainment too. I'm surprised that the man hasn't gone farther with it. Maybe he's just kept himself so busy with other things. I don't know, but he's a talented writer.
John, what has been, this is a two-part question, your biggest challenge as co-director and as the actor?
As co-director, the biggest challenge is from the point of view of standing there on the stage looking around and saying, here's something we could do to improve what we have. Sometimes I get ideas, sometimes I don't, but you know, that's the hardest thing as co-director. I'm very glad I'm only a co-director because, you know, nobody can do something like this all by himself.
I think you need that other set of eyes
Absolutely.
looking at it from the other side.
And as an actor, you absolutely need that.
Yes.
As an actor, you cannot just direct yourself. You know, you need someone to watch what you're doing, arrange what you're doing, tell you when things don't work, because sometimes they don't. Nature of life. As an actor, the biggest challenge of this show, other than memorizing it, which wasn't nearly as easy as he makes it sound, the biggest challenge of this show is keeping it interesting to watch. There's a lot of times when I first read the show, my initial impression was it's dramatically very viable, but if you take the immediate obvious choices every time, you have a really boring play because you shout a lot and you do very few things. So every time someone gets angry, it has to be a different angry than you saw 5 minutes ago. Every time someone's happy, it has to be a different happy than you saw 5 minutes ago. Since they're only watching me, I have to make myself as interesting to watch as possible, which means I have to watch using the same body posture, using the same gestures over and over and over again, because all of that can get redundant.
How many different characters do you play?
Over the course of the show, I want to say 5.
So I think of the thinking and the research that an actor does to portray a character, to come up with facial expression, with body posture. You have to do that times 5. That definitely would present a challenge.
Well, thankfully, I'd done that before.
That's true, just coming off of Irma Vep.
Which makes it a big help. You know, people ask me if this show was tiring, and I said, after Mystery of Irma Vep? No, not really.
This is nothing.
No, but I won't say this is nothing, but because there's a lot of energy in it, there's a lot of passion in it. Of course, Vincent van Gogh was a man ruled by his passions. So to do a show about him that isn't a passionate show would be an injustice. So I won't say it's totally a walk in the park, because it's not. But it's a wonderful experience in its own right. And I'm very glad that I had the opportunity to do it. I'm very glad that I'm doing it for the experience of nothing else.
Let's take a look for a second at the men behind the production. What kind of theatrical background, not behind this production, but what kind of theatrical background are you coming from? What kind of theatrical experience are you bringing to this production?
And how much time
And if we can get that into about the 17 minutes we have left.
The next 5 minutes, right. I went to school at Wilkes University in the early 80s, studying under Dr. Michael O'Neill, and I feel very lucky to this day I studied under Klaus Holm, who for some reason came to Wilkes College from Broadway. We're not sure why. After I studied under them, I took a long time out trying a lot of different things, and I came back to theater, I guess it's about 4 or 5 years ago now. It's really not that long, surprisingly.
I thought it was longer, actually.
No, it's really not that long. I was in school, and then I stayed out for 10 years, and I guess it was 96 or 97 that I came back in and started working with Bracken, and acted in a few shows for them, and directed a show for them, and then I started working with Showcase, doing Threepenny Opera and directing you.
Yes.
in Psychopathia, which
was a wonderful experience.
Yes, it was.
An award-winning production, in fact. But we'll move along.
Yeah, we'll move along. The statue looks nice on the shelf in the theater.
I'm sure it does.
And
I
basically,
never did get that one for the shelf in my home.
But the thing is, once I came back, I've been working nonstop. I take weeks off at a time. You know, when I take a production off, it's because I'm only doing the lights. That's my rest, is I just run lights.
Well, you know, some rest is better than no rest. Alex, what kind of directing background and theatrical background are you bringing into the production?
Well, I can't say that my resume is very long, but I have, my first theatrical experience, I guess, was 13 years ago in high school. And it's been on and off. Up until about 3 years ago, I've been pretty much heavy duty for 3 years. And this is my third time directing. I think one of the things that really is working out for me as a director is, to me, what works so well is being able to creatively bond with someone. And by that I mean, you know, the brainstorming that people can do with someone else. When ideas come up and from one person they inspire the other person into another idea, you know, I think that kind of positive exchange has really served me best as a director and really makes me look forward to doing it and helps me enjoy it. It's been, like John said, there's been a great exchange. We truly were co-directors in this because ideas were always going both ways between us.
So it's been about 3 years that you've been heavily involved in theater. Has it all been with Actors Circle?
No, actually I've been up to Carbondale. I did a show with the group called The Act up there. Mm-hmm. And I've been over to the Diva Theater there in Scranton also. And I did do one semi-professional, I guess you would call it, murder mystery. You might have heard of those in the Poconos.
I've heard of one or two of those, yes.
Did I just step into something there?
No, actually I've done several of those.
Oh, you've done
yes.
them? Sure. Have you directed and gone farther, I guess?
I've been cast, script development, that kind of thing, and I have loved it. There is no bigger challenge, and I was talking to the folks in the Lakeside Players a couple of weeks ago about the same thing. There was no bigger challenge for an actor, I think, than developing such an intricate character that you need to be for 4 days. It's an amazing exercise.
A lot of adrenaline there.
A lot of adrenaline, yeah. Especially when you're getting shot at and, and everything else. But it's a blast. It's a lot of fun to do. So Actors Circle is relatively a new venue.
Yeah,
for you.
yeah, only about 3 years now, and luckily for me it's close by, so I'll be there a lot.
What show was it that you did at the Act?
It was called Don't Mention My Name, where I played an amnesia victim. So surprised that I remember the name of it, actually.
Yeah, hence Don't Mention My Name. That would make sense. What has been, you've directed, this is number 3. I know that Night Watch, was that your first?
Night Watch was, well, it was my first time staging, directing something staged. And before that, I directed an improv murder mystery at the Act in Carbondale. That was a particular challenge because I had folks who were new to improv, and I had people changing. I can't do it this night. I have to do it this night. I can't do it this night. And that's tough. That's very tough.
I could imagine. I mean, that's a true challenge for the director, for the cast, for everybody involved to keep it consistent.
Yeah, you don't realize what a house of cards a show is when you start switching out actors in it. It's really unconventional to do that, but
Yeah.
It happened, and we dealt with it.
You have to do what you have to do. Hopefully you won't lose any members of this cast before the show closes. Now, the show runs this weekend, tonight, in fact, Saturday night at 8 o'clock, is it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes,
8
that's
o'clock
right.
at the Everhart, and then tomorrow, Sunday, at what time?
2.
At 2 o'clock. Now, for tickets, do they call the Everhart or call Actors Circle? Does it
Call
make a
Actors
difference?
Circle, and I hope you
That would be
remember.
342-9707.
342-9707.
Reservations are welcome. And the Everhart is air-conditioned and handicap accessible.
Excellent. What is up and coming for Actors Circle?
The
What's
next
this?
show that we have planned is to be directed by Marilyn Rao, and it is called Trip to Bountiful. It's definitely a heartwarming story about an older woman who is living with her son and her daughter-in-law. And the son and daughter-in-law, well, they really don't want her around. And I wouldn't say that they're abusive to her, but they are not kind to her. And all she can think about is going back home, going back home. So she runs away. And she's actually caught up to by a sheriff who decides that he's going to let her complete this journey back to her home, Bountiful. And I won't go any farther with it, but it
Well,
is...
yeah, don't give away any endings.
It is
Has
one
it
of
been
those.
cast yet?
No,
No, it hasn't.
The auditions will be, they will take place in September. As we get closer to September, if you call us, we can let you know exactly.
And
when
it's
auditions will be.
342-9707.
That's right.
342-9707 for information on the auditions. Or, of course, you can always email us here at Northeast Current, necurrent@paxemail.com for information about what's going on at Actors Circle, auditions, and shows. John, what's next for John Schugard?
Whew. Okay, after this show, I actually get over a month off.
To do just lights?
To do nothing.
Oh, to do
Not
nothing?
even lights.
A month off to do nothing at all?
To lie around.
Excellent.
Uh,
After that, I'm going down to Wilkes-Barre to a company called The Rep, where I will be appearing as Malvolio in Twelfth Night. After that, I come back up to Actors Circle, where I will be directing A Delicate Balance by Edward Albee, which goes up in late January, I believe.
Edward Albee, author of The Zoo Story.
Author of The Zoo Story, author of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And this one is, I think, after Virginia Woolf, this play.
What's this one all about?
This one
It's
is
absurdist, I'm assuming, also.
not as absurdist.
Okay.
This one is about an old family who has been living essentially the same lifestyle for years on end, and they've gotten themselves stuck in a very deep rut. And when their friends come by and shake them all out of it, it's suddenly a life-threatening emergency to these people. And that's how the drama ensues, is how they deal with this sudden shaking up of their world, which has been so comfortable and so constant for so long. And that's the drama of A Delicate Balance.
And you are also, if I'm not mistaken, directing Waiting for Godot at Showcase Theater.
Most people think I'm crazy for even attempting it.
I'm very excited about it, actually. Very
So
excited. In
am
fact,
I.
we're going to
I'm
have
very
words
happy.
a little bit later.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
very excited about that.
I'm calling everybody, like the two of you. I want you at Showcase.
Okay,
So
there
I
you go.
can
We have
direct
that on
Alex for a
tape now.
change.
When is that going up?
That goes up in May. Once again, I don't have the exact dates in front of me.
Well, that's a long way off.
Quite a way off.
Right. But 654-2555, if I'm not mistaken,
That's
is
Showcase's
Showcase. So, well, there you have it, or showcasetheater@excite.com, or always necurrent@paxemail.com. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow, and good luck with your future theatrical endeavors. That's going to wrap it up for Northeast Current this morning. So for John and Alex and the entire Northeast Current team, I'm John Baldino. Good morning.